Your bank app, your Amazon dashboard, your credit card rewards. They are all designed by behavioural economists whose sole job is to increase your spending. When you overspend on a Tuesday night, scrolling through a seamless digital storefront, the cultural narrative is very quick to point the finger at you. You are told you lack discipline, that you need a better budget, or that you simply have a penchant for instant gratification. But from a systemic perspective, this narrative is not only reductive, it is fundamentally and mathematically inaccurate. The modern consumer is not a reckless actor making independent choices in a vacuum. Instead, you are navigating an invisible, highly engineered architecture designed by some of the most well-funded behavioural science departments in the entire world. The digital economy operates as a perfectly calibrated machine built on decades of cognitive psychology and behavioural economics, specifically designed to bypass your rational brain and tap directly into your evolutionary instincts. Understanding how this machine works is the ultimate act of financial literacy. By examining the systemic mechanics of how companies keep us spending, we can remove the shame from our financial missteps and replace it with actual agency. We are going to break down the exact math and psychology used against you every single day. This is not about pointing fingers at big tech. It is about turning on the lights in a dark room so you can finally see the maze you are walking through. If you want the highest possible return on investment for your time today, hit the subscribe button right now. We are building a community of people who refuse to play a rigged game. And the very first step to opting out of that game is understanding how the people designing it view your money, and more importantly, how they view your brain's natural resistance to giving it up. If you think spending money on a credit card is basically the same as spending cash, wait until you see what happens to your brain inside an MRI scanner. To understand modern spending, we have to start with a concept coined by behavioural economists called the pain of paying. Human beings experience a literal, measurable neurological pain when handing over physical cash. Scans have shown that spending money activates the insula, which is the exact same region of the brain associated with physical pain and disgust. From an evolutionary standpoint, losing resources is a major threat to your survival. When you hold a crisp $20 bill and hand it to a cashier, your brain registers a physical loss. This cognitive friction forces the slow, analytical, rational part of your mind to pause and ask if this purchase is actually worth the pain of losing the resource. The primary goal of retail technology is to totally anaesthetize this pain. The very first step in numbing that pain was the credit card. In a landmark study published by the MIT Sloan Management Review, researchers held a sealed bid auction for tickets to a Boston Celtics game. Half the participants were told they had to pay in cash, while the other half were told they had to pay with a credit card. The results were staggering. The credit card buyers bid, on average, more than twice as much as the cash buyers. The reason is simple. A credit card creates physical and temporal distance between the purchase and the financial loss. You get the immediate dopamine hit of acquiring the item today, but the pain of parting with your money is deferred to an abstract date in the future when the bill finally arrives. Today, the systemic abstraction of money has evolved far beyond plastic cards into an era of completely frictionless commerce, like double-clicking the side of your phone. This abstraction has reached a dangerous new peak with the explosion of buy now, pay later services. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has extensively documented how these services fundamentally alter consumer behaviour. They exploit a cognitive bias known as hyperbolic discounting. This is our natural tendency to choose smaller, immediate rewards over larger, delayed rewards, and to view delayed costs as completely insignificant. By breaking a $200 purchase into 4 easy payments of $50, the retailer alters your perception of the price. Your brain anchors to the $50 figure, not the total sum. The friction of the total cost is completely smoothed out, which dramatically increases conversion rates and average order values for retailers. The consumer is not acting irrationally. They are reacting exactly as the choice architecture dictates. When the transaction is over before your prefrontal cortex can calculate the impact on your monthly budget, you are guaranteed to overspend. If the corporate goal is frictionless spending, your protocol must be to build speed bumps. You have to reintroduce friction into the system. Start by decoupling your cards. Remove your credit card information from Amazon, Apple Pay, and your browser autofill settings. Force yourself to physically stand up, find your wallet, and type in the 16-digit number for every single online purchase. This simple act reintroduces the temporal gap required for your slow, analytical brain to activate. It gives you 30 seconds of annoying reality to ask yourself if you actually need the item. You are intentionally making the buying process worse, and that is exactly the point. Friction is your financial bodyguard. When you remove the convenience, you remove the impulse. You will be absolutely amazed at how many items sit in a digital shopping cart simply because you are too comfortable on the couch to get up and find your wallet. Most people stop right here. They think they are safe because they pay their credit card off every single month and never pay interest, all while collecting those sweet rewards points. But here is the massive behavioral trap they miss. If frictionless payments remove the pain of spending, gamification introduces the pleasure. Back in the early 20th century, psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered the principle of operant conditioning. By putting pigeons in a box and giving them food pellets at random, unpredictable intervals when they pecked a lever, Skinner found he could induce a compulsive, almost manic pecking behavior. The unpredictability of the reward spiked the brain's dopamine levels far more than a predictable, steady reward ever could. Today, this exact psychological mechanism is perfectly built into your personal finances. Your airline miles and your coffee app stars are not customer appreciation programs. They are sophisticated gamification engines designed to shift your entire psychological framing around money. We can see exactly how this manipulates spending through the endowed progress effect. Researchers published a study in the Journal of Consumer Research demonstrating this with a simple car wash loyalty program. Customers were given a punch card requiring 8 purchases to get a free wash. Another group was given a 10 punch card, but 2 slots were already punched for free. Both groups needed exactly 8 purchases to get the reward, but the second group completed the card significantly faster. The illusion of artificial progress literally compelled them to accelerate their spending to reach the goal. When your budgeting app shows a confetti animation for hitting a milestone, or your shopping app shows a progress bar slowly filling up toward free shipping, they are utilizing operant conditioning. They are rewarding the behavior they want to see, making the act of engaging with the financial interface intrinsically addictive and encouraging you to spend money to save money. When you use a rewards card, the app transforms the act of spending into the act of earning. You feel like you are no longer losing money, you are gaining points. You are leveling up to platinum status. This is a brilliant utilization of mental accounting, a concept developed by behavioral economist Richard Thaler. Mental accounting dictates that individuals categorize and treat money differently depending on its origin and its intended use. When companies introduce a secondary currency like points, miles, or stars, they force your brain to engage in mental accounting gymnastics. Because the conversion rate of real dollars to fake points is intentionally obfuscated, your brain cannot easily calculate the true cost of a transaction. You lose sight of the fact that a point is often just a gamified fraction of a single penny. You are spending actual wealth to acquire digital confetti. The solution is to aggressively divorce your emotions from corporate points and rewards. You have to remember that cash is king in personal accounting. Never spend a single dollar purely to reach a tier, maintain a status, or earn a reward. If a credit card's gamification causes you to overspend your budget by even 5%, the value of those points is instantly wiped out by your lost wealth. If you want to track your real cash flow instead of chasing fake digital points, you need a system built on reality. I have put together the exact mathematical spreadsheets I use to run my own finances, completely free of gamified noise. You can find the official Tom Talks Money Ultimate Personal Finance Dashboard and Monthly Budget Planner linked down in the description. These digital templates are the exact tools you need to build a fortress around your wealth. They force you to look at hard numbers instead of progress bars. Strip away the game and get back to the math. Now, you might think you are firmly in control of your monthly cash flow because you check your bank statements. But I am going to show you an invisible $1,000 leak that operates entirely in the background, relying on your own brain being too lazy to stop it. We like to believe that our financial choices are made from a menu of neutral options. But behavioral science proves that how choices are presented fundamentally dictates what we choose. This is known as choice architecture, and the most devastating tool in a choice architect's arsenal is the default option. Humans possess a deep-seated status quo bias. We require a significant amount of cognitive exertion to change an existing state of affairs. Because our brains are inherently lazy, strongly preferring to conserve energy by relying on automatic thinking, we almost always stick with the default option chosen for us. And corporations know this. The entire modern subscription economy is built on the immense power of the default. According to the World Economic Forum, the subscription economy has grown exponentially because it creates predictable, recurring revenue from consumer inertia. When you sign up for a free trial, the default setting is almost always set to auto-renew. Retailers use this constantly with their subscribe and save features. The interface heavily highlights the immediate 5% discount, which triggers your instant gratification, while quietly defaulting you into a perpetual, never-ending purchasing cycle. Over time, consumers accumulate what financial planners call subscription creep. This is a slow, steady hemorrhage of recurring monthly charges that go entirely unnoticed simply because they have become the baseline status quo. You stop evaluating the purchase every month because the choice was already made for you a year ago, and changing it requires more effort than ignoring it. To ensure you do not change that status quo, companies employ hostile design tactics. The Federal Trade Commission actually refers to these intentionally difficult cancellation processes as dark patterns. These are user interfaces specifically designed to trick or exhaust users into making choices contrary to their own financial interests. To cancel that simple $7 subscription, you must overcome mountains of friction. You have to remember the arbitrary cancellation date, navigate through multiple hidden account menus, and click through several screens of guilt-inducing text asking if you are really sure you want to lose your premium benefits. By making spending the frictionless default and saving money a high-friction, emotionally exhausting endeavor, companies ensure a steady stream of passive spending. They are weaponizing your brain's natural desire to avoid tedious tasks, turning your own procrastination into their most reliable and predictable source of quarterly profit. The protocol here is to take ruthless control of your choice architecture. You need to use the status quo bias to your advantage, instead of letting it drain you. Automate your savings, not your spending. Set up your bank accounts so that a specific portion of your paycheck is automatically routed to an investment or savings account before you ever even see the money. Make saving the default and spending the action that requires effort. Furthermore, you must regularly audit your bank statements for auto-renewing subscriptions and purge them. Treat every single free trial as a hostile entity. The very minute you sign up for one, go immediately into the settings and cancel the auto-renew. You will still get the trial period, but you have successfully neutralized the default trap. You are resetting the baseline so that keeping your money requires zero effort, and giving it away requires intent. Even if you automate your savings and purge your subscriptions, this next psychological trap catches almost everyone. I am going to show you exactly why you are willingly overpaying for products right now, all because your brain is easily manipulated by a fake number. How do you actually know if a pair of shoes is worth $100? The honest truth is, the human brain is terrible at determining the absolute value of anything. We can only evaluate things in relative terms. We constantly look for context clues to tell us if something is a good deal. Retailers understand this severe vulnerability, and they exploit it through a concept called anchoring. Anchoring occurs when people rely entirely too heavily on the very first piece of information offered to them when making decisions. In a retail context, this is why you almost never see a product listed simply at its selling price. Instead, you see an artificially inflated original price crossed out, sitting right next to the new, lower price. That inflated number is the anchor. Even if the product was never actually sold at that higher price, putting that number on the screen sets your psychological baseline. Your brain calculates the savings rather than the actual cost. You feel as though you are making money by spending it. But they take it a step further with the decoy effect. Imagine buying a software subscription. You see a basic plan for $50 and a pro plan for $100. Then they introduce a premium plan for $105 that includes a totally useless extra feature. That premium plan is a decoy. It is not there to be purchased. It is there to make the $100 pro plan look like a highly rational, economically sound compromise. Once they have anchored your price expectations, they apply the final pressure using scarcity. If you want to bypass a consumer's rational budgeting completely, you must trigger their survival instincts. Evolutionary biology wired humans to acquire and hoard scarce resources. If food was scarce, you grabbed it immediately or you starved. Today, marketers artificially replicate this evolutionary threat using urgency cues to induce fear of missing out. When you browse a hotel booking site and see red text warning you that only 2 rooms are left at this price, that notification is designed to trigger your amygdala, the brain's fear center. When the amygdala fires, it literally suppresses your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for logical financial planning. You aren't booking the room because it fits your budget. You are booking it to prevent the pain of losing it to the 15 other people supposedly looking at it. To defend against anchors, decoys, and manufactured urgency, you must institute the 48-hour rule. This is a mandatory cooling-off period for any non-essential purchase. When you feel the anxiety of a ticking countdown clock or the rush of a massive fake discount, force yourself to walk away for exactly 2 days. Most impulse desires evaporate entirely once the initial dopamine spike subsides and your amygdala calms down. During this time, blind yourself to the supposed original price. Evaluate the item based solely on what it is worth to you in the present moment, utilizing your own financial reality as the anchor, not the retailer's inflated fake number. If you still want it and it fits the budget 2 days later, buy it. But you will find that almost every absolute must-have deal looks remarkably average 48 hours later. If you think these pricing tricks are manipulative, wait until you realize how the algorithm targets your lowest moments of willpower. Historically, advertising was a blunt instrument. A company put a billboard on a highway and hoped the right demographic drove past it. Today, the marketing apparatus is a precision sniper rifle powered by predictive algorithms. Behavioral psychologists use the term ego depletion to describe how our willpower and self-control steadily diminish over the course of a day as we make decisions. By 9 o'clock at night, after a long day of working and navigating life, your prefrontal cortex is completely exhausted. Your willpower is gone. And the algorithm knows this. It knows what time you are most likely to open social media, and it delivers a mathematically optimized ad for a product you lingered on yesterday, precisely at the hour you are most psychologically vulnerable to an impulse purchase. When you view personal finance through this systemic lens, the traditional advice of just stopping your daily coffee purchases reveals itself to be tragically inadequate. You are bringing a metaphorical knife to a psychological gunfight against algorithms and multi-billion-dollar marketing budgets. You have to build structural alignment into your life. If you are serious about escaping this cycle and building actual wealth, consider clicking the Join button below to become one of the optimizers. It is a channel membership where you get priority comment replies and custom badges, but more importantly, you are joining a core group of people actively choosing to opt out of the consumer matrix. We focus on the hard math of financial independence, ignoring the noise and building systems that protect our money from the very forces we have been talking about today. The goal of financial literacy is not just understanding compound interest or tax brackets. True financial literacy requires understanding the psychological battlefield upon which everyday transactions take place. By recognizing the mechanics of this system, the removal of the pain of paying, the gamification of spending, the weaponization of scarcity, and the power of defaults, you strip these tactics of their subconscious power. You move from being a passive participant in their choice architecture to an active builder of your own. You no longer have to feel ashamed of your financial impulses. You can recognize them as predictable biological responses and consciously choose a different path. I want to hear your data points. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these psychological traps has caught you the most in the past.